Welcome back. Now we move to a place with a little less ink and a little more think. Our very own Jeremy Slayton interviewed Rick Addy, a man who has spent a day with Jimmy Morrison, actually got interrupted in a phone booth by Janis Joplin, and has owned this wonderful used book and record store, Shake, Rattle, and Read, for decades.
Used bookstore and a used record store. People from around the city come here because I have very limited space for my records, and they're all near mint condition. Anything with any kind of little marks, that goes in the dollar bin. It's also been said that we're like a store that has the last 50 years of pop culture. We have vintage rock magazines and vintage Playboys and car magazines and old and new stuff. It started out in 1966 as the Book Box, and we've kept that name on the sign outside. It was my sister's store then, and I took over in 1986. I came from a background of selling records. I've been selling records in Chicago since 1971, and before I bought the bookstore, I ran a shop in Evanston called Record Exchange. It was a famous used record store on Dempster and Chicago Avenue. So when I bought the store for my sister in '86, I added used records and used CDs, and then we changed the name to let people know there was a new guy in charge, to Shake, Rattle, and Read. Here, 25 years starting January of 2011.
Celebrate?
Yeah, we'll have a, I think we won't celebrate on January 1st, which is when I got my key, because it would be hard to get people to come out that day. So I think we'll have a sale on the second week of January and some kind of party. This is an entertainment district. On the corner is the famous Green Mill, 2 or 3 doors down. And then across the street is the Aragon Ballroom. And then across the street from the Green Mill is the Riviera Theater that holds 2,500. We do really well when there are concerts going on, and we try to stay open right before the concert starts usually. Yeah, Uptown's a pretty big area. That's why when people come to me with worries about gentrification, I tell them not to worry because it's almost too big an area to get gentrified. I don't like to see empty storefronts like from here to Montrose, you know. There's a lot of empty stores, and they could rehab that Wilson L stop. I think that needs to be done. But there's some very wealthy areas like on Dover Street and Beacon Street. And then there's some very poor areas like Wilson and Sheridan. Yeah, it's a very diverse neighborhood. Someone at the post office told me that there was 60 some different languages spoken in Uptown. I don't think it'll ever be like Lincoln Park or North and Clybourne with the Apple Store and stuff like that. Now we did get a new Target recently down by Broadway and Wilson. So things are gentrifying. I'm for the gentrification of the business district. I'd like to see more businesses moving in. In reality, I was very happy that Borders moved in because number one, it's going to draw book buyers to the corner of Broadway and Lawrence. And number two, I sell used books, so people are going to finally realize when Borders opened up that, geez, this paperback is $8.99 at Borders plus tax, and we can go over to Rick's and get it used for $4, you know?
Even with some of the recent gentrification in Uptown, older businesses like Rick's are still able to do well.
Well, this year we had our first Uptown Rib Festival with live bands, and they blocked off Broadway and Lawrence all the way down to where the L is, and set up stages and had barbecue booths and rib contests, and a lot of people came, and there was no incidents and there was no trouble, and it was all happy for 3 days, so that was a good sign.
Joining us here in the studio is Jeremy Slayton. He's the director of that wonderful piece you just saw. I love what he said about Borders. So Jeremy, what do you have for us today?
I just have some records on vinyl to show for you today. As you can tell, they're much different than CDs or iPods. They're much larger and better sound.
Now, are these some of the records you can find at Shake, Rattle, and Read?
These are records you can find at Shake, Rattle, and Read. Here I just have some rock and roll records because that's what I personally listen to.
Okay.
But in Shake, Rattle, and Read you can find anything from comedy, country, easy listening, jazz. They really have it all.
Now, I actually am an avid music listener. My brother had a huge crates full of vinyl records, but lately I haven't seen a lot of people buying vinyl. Do you think it's making a comeback?
I do see it making a comeback. Just watching Conan O'Brien last week, they had a newer band, the Neon Trees, perform live. And as you can, now this music, you hear it playing. I actually recorded this off of Triumph's album, and from vinyl, I converted it to MP3, and you can really hear the static noise. Yeah, I mean, it's digital now, but you can still get that clicking and the static noise from the needle. So it's really neat.
So what would make someone bypass their iTunes and go to Shake, Rattle, and Read and get some vinyl?
The thing about iTunes is it's a digital download and you just have it on your computer. If you lose that, you lose everything. You can't get it back. But if you go to Rick's and pick up some vinyl, you have it in your hands and you only lose it if you actually lose it.
Right.
But you can always sell it back later on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's how he builds his collection.
He does.
Buys.
He buys it off of people and then he'll resell it. And what he does at his store is he has a bin where it's the ones that don't look very good, and he sells those for $1.
Okay.
And then you can take them home and clean them and take your chances.
Okay.
Otherwise, everything else that's not in dollar bin is in near mint condition.
Okay.
And so you'll have very good luck with those.
But look at some of the artwork. This is absolutely.
Yeah, you can't get this with CDs or iTunes. This is Tumbleweed Connection by Elton John. Inside you get the photos, the lyrics. With a CD, you might need your reading glasses to read the lyrics, but here it's clear and large. You get all these pictures. Most of them are in color. This one's in black and white, but you can just flip through.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Jeremy, it seems like you can find a little bit of everything at Shake, Rattle, and Read.
Yes, you can.
Next up, we'll learn about Alternatives Youth Center, a place that's helping the youth of Uptown find a place to express themselves creatively. And make sure you stay tuned for a special performance from the talented alternative participants. I'm going to join in if they help me. Right after these words from our sponsors.